Two people are waiting.
And we are live. We are live. Welcome back, Beth. I was joking with you because I'm here in my what I'm now calling my game day jersey. The suggestion of you and others, my teal shirt seems to go well on camera. Thank you for your suggestion. How are you today?
Yeah, well,
Are you hanging in there today?
yes, I'm hanging in there, and I'm in my Colorado attire today. Yeah, it's pretty chilly
We
here.
compare notes because I'm in Chicago and you're in Colorado, and we trade off the weather. You're supposed to be sending weather my way, but it doesn't always work that way. So like I'll have days where it's perfect summer and you have winter and vice versa, but such is life, right? Like with today's craziness. I wanted to say a couple things before we got started. First of all, some folks are starting to come on in. For many folks who have enjoyed our Friday sessions have asked how do they submit questions. So first of all, we're doing this through a YouTube live stream. However, it's showing up at the front page of WP LaunchKit. And if it turns out that you miss it, it's recorded and it's there. It will show up eventually in the launchkit.com site as archive page, but you can always find everything at spencerforeman.com under recent content. You can also go to the WP Launchify the WP Launchify YouTube channel. Now, I know that's like 3 brands, but what I've been trying to do, and it's working out pretty well, is I'm taking like this gigantic rainbow of things and we're simplifying and simplifying and simplifying and simplifying. But since you and I have been diligently building out things like the documentation, we've just been prioritizing. So for right now, you can see this and every Friday's events as a recording. And also, if you have any questions, you could just either paste them into the chat or you can do it through help@wplaunchify.com. Okay. When this is all over, WP LaunchKit is just a brand. It is just a product. It is where this product and service will have the documentation and click to link. But everything you will buy in the future is going to be through WP Launchify. And everything that I say is right now going through Spencer Foreman or .com or Spencer Foreman on social media. So at the end of the day, I will have simplified hopefully most of this down. Having said all that exciting stuff, today I wanted to share something for our Kadence audience in particular. How to boost your audience growth. Because as a creator, let's get real. Let's zoom in. I have this guy on YouTube I watch. He's like, zoom in. He's like, no, zoom in closer. He's like, no, not so close. Wait, zoom in, come in close. No, not so close. Okay. I want to talk about boosting your growth because the thing that is most important of all, and I think we should probably do this. The thing that is most important of all for anybody who is a creator is how to grow your audience. Because if you don't have an audience, you really don't have any purpose there, right? Even if your stuff is free, if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's around, it doesn't make any sound. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the 3 things that are just fundamental to anybody. And I'm orienting a lot of this stuff, in case everybody's wondering, towards Kadence, because Kadence of all the things has a series of products that we use in the launch kit. I have a great relationship with all their team members, but it to me seems like the most logical place to find an audience of folks who've already got the kind of foundational understanding of what the theme is, but really may not be using all of the capabilities that the launch kit platform brings, right? So
yeah, it's a great marriage, so to speak. Yeah.
The idea is the difference between painting. You and I were talking about this, and I like that we're experimenting here, folks. But like we're going to talk a little about put in context. Beth and I speak every morning. We're talking about you have a client who is one of the folks who comes to you as an implementer and says, "I just need help." Right. And I want a stable platform. But what she thought she was doing, which was very clever, is she actually picked up on Melissa Love's stuff from our last webinar, and she bought Melissa's Love's package, which is terrific. The problem is she doesn't really have any clue as to what's a child theme, what's a pattern, what's a sale. She has no idea what's up. So she just sort of like went to the automobile shop and bought a bunch of random parts off the shelf for her new car, where, by the way, you were already there. She just didn't think to ask you about it. But she bought a bunch of parts, and now she sort of felt like what did I buy? What should I do with this? And what
Right.
we're trying to do is eliminate that, right?
Mhm.
So the thing that we discussed this morning and yesterday about this was that the best benefit that we can bring to the WordPress ecosystem, especially in light of a lot of the drama in politics, is to say, if you have a person who's familiar enough with Kadence and generally is using it, now you basically got something you can start with where you just say, slow down. And we see Dr. Kerry Krieger's in there. He's like, let's build automations. Don't worry, we're getting there. This is going to be short and sweet. It's to tell them or show them, look, you're going to get the best benefit by not going under the hood of your car, but rather bringing it into me as the implementer. And since I'm working with the factory, i.e. us here at the lab, the LaunchKit platform, everybody wins because there's a process, there's a stability. There's not somebody just randomly going and throwing stuff in place and breaking it. And by the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong. Melissa Love's products are amazing. We're going to be working together. It's just that your client didn't understand a child theme versus a pattern, and she had no idea what to do with the components. So it was like she just bought an aftermarket engine tune-up kit and she'd never opened the hood of a car before. Right.
All right.
So in terms of automations, let's just do a couple of the slides, and I'm going to put in context where we're talking today. I don't need to bore people too much, but I am Spencer Foreman, and I've been doing this basically as a professional marketer, entrepreneur my whole life, and especially in WordPress for the last 18 years. And now we have essentially productized the consultative expertise that I normally charge people $300 an hour for into a platform so that somebody can start it, as I'm going to show you today, live without a net. We're going to go with just a fresh thing and do exactly what I'm showing you can do. And that's the point. The point is, I show people how to do things with a kit that has all of the hard stuff already figured out and has all of the plugins installed. It has everything you need so that instead of spending days, weeks, or months piddling around, you could just start with the platform. And you know what that's exactly like? It's like going to canva.com. It's like going to Shopify or Wix or Weebly. It's like everything you need is in the platform. Whereas in WordPress, people tend to get lost in the components. Okay, for Dr. Kerry and everyone else, why are we talking about automations today? Well, if you can't find an audience, if you can't grow an audience, you can't make any dent in the universe, right? You and I both, because we're in our 20s, we both grew up in an era when people had real life shops that people walked into, and they used to have this thing called a fishbowl on the counter. And what you would do is, as the shop owner, you put up a sign that says, put your business card into the fishbowl and win a free sandwich, or, win a chance to take a trip around the world. Whatever it was an incentive for people to come and, drop their little card into the bowl with information who they were. Now, Beth, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Why did they do that in those days, back when we were kids last year?
Well, why do you think, Spence?
The reason was because they needed to know who had come by the shop.
Exactly.
Okay. And so it was a trade-off that today we tend to call it something like a lead magnet, but you trade somebody something of value or the promise of something of value in exchange for their information. But it's deeper than that, because today we're really about building relationships. The relationships are not just for, hey, here's some information, give me your email. They're about the idea that, like, really in today's complicated tech world, it's unlimited automated stuff, unlimited software stuff, unlimited services stuff. What people really want is, can you be the shop owner that I can come see or talk to that will actually figure out my stuff for me and spoon feed it to me? So there are really three types of relationships.
Hold on, time out. Before you jump
back?
onto that,
Let's go back.
Nope, stay right where you are. But that relationship part, let's not skip over the business card piece, right? Because the really smart shop owners took that business card and found out a little bit about the other person's business, right? Started a conversation with them, started to talk with them, started to then recognize. So when they would come back, they would say, well, hello, Spence, great to see you back again. That leads into the same thing that you can do with an automation. Mm-hmm. Now we'll go into the rest of it so you can see how to start.
Well, let's expand, because I'm glad you stopped on that, because let's expand on something that I particularly have found extremely Extremely valuable. In fact, most of my business in the last 18 years has been built on this. I don't know why it is, but it seems like it has something to do with me being Gen X, or maybe I like people, or maybe I'm curious. But by being a real human being with a real face who has a real free conversation, yes, free. I know it sounds really weird. Spence, how can you possibly have free calls? I've been having free calls for 18 years in WordPress. And in the very early days, I used to figure out how to game the system and avoid being found by auto. But I'd go into the WordPress forums, and where it's illegal to give your name and reaching out to me on my website or email address, I used to figure out ways to help people for free in the WordPress forums. And then I'll tell you the way I did it was I used to post like a screenshot, and the screenshot used to have my website in it. So I was technically not breaking the rules, but people were pretty smart. The point was, by being helpful, remember we've talked about in other live office hours, being the birdie on a hippo's back, right? The hippo is happy to have the birdie there because the birdie eats the bugs. The birdie gets a belly full of bugs, and the hippo is bug free. So everybody wins. So by being helpful, you can build a reputation. And I have done that historically. But today, the same thing is true. I can afford to have 15-minute to 30-minute free calls, because here's exactly what happens. They come in with one of any, 10,000 possible iterations of the 70,000 plugins in WordPress and themes in WordPress and services. And all they want, would you please listen to me? It hurts when I go like this with my WordPress site. And all that happens is I go, huh. And like they say with to a carpenter with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, of all the problems they give me, almost all of them can be fixed with something I already know how to fix with the LaunchKit platform. And they hear from me immediately. Oh, you listened, you understood me. You have a solution for me that all this time I could have had for just $97 or $147. Where have you been all my life? So when we talk today about building relationships, you are 1000% right, Beth. In the old days, it used to be like, call up the people in the fishbowl and be like, hey, Bob, it was great. You came by the store. How are the kids? And what are you doing with the hockey season this year? And, oh, how's your business doing? And by learning about somebody, being curious about them, they then feel comfortable enough to reveal, these are my pain points. These are the things I wish I had somebody who can help me with them. And guess who that person is, right? It's you. All right. The difference, by the way, is in the old days, before the LaunchKit platform, you would have to go out and buy 70,000 plugins or know how 70,000 plugins. And what we're doing is saying, no, we've got a very concentrated, like a Lego kit, call it your laboratory, that allows you to solve any problem. And we make it easier for you to do it. So you just add money for your time and expertise by using the kit. On top, everybody wins. Okay. So what do you think? That pretty much covers like the historical, right? Or
Yeah, right. So just to jump into like the automation. So, I would sort out business cards, right? But now the automations help you track that, right? The technology helps you track what they did, where they went, what they said, all those types of things. So now you can have that personalized conversation or set up your automation so that you're speaking to those specific audiences. So
I use these.
Exactly.
This is what I do. And I go, you could track what people see or click or do or buy with tags. So like in the old days, you'd sort out the cards and make a little note, put them into piles. They need this, they should do that. I should call them on Christmas about this. Now you do that with tags. And then, as we'll see in a second, because I'm going to do this live, we can have the automation. Do a follow-up email or change the website or give them access to a lead magnet or a trial. Any of these things can be done very easily. Now, for those of you like Dr. Carey here, I know, as well as a few of the others who are watching today, if you're an implementer, the most valuable thing you can sell to people is the automations capabilities. Here's why. Because you're 100% guarantee your customers, as smart as they are, have zero understanding about any of this, but they know that they need to do it. It like literally is voodoo science, where they've heard about this stuff and they know it needs to be done competitively, but they have no idea what to do. And so you can sell to them something that is of higher perceived value than, oh, I can make the logo pretty, or I can change the color on the site. And that's the thing I'm talking about. Just being 2 steps ahead of your friend. I know how to make a great Manhattan or an old fashioned. You're the guy I want to have come to my cocktail party, right? By being 2 steps ahead of your customers or your clients, they will pay you to do the things that just scares them or they can't be bothered to do. Okay. And so there are 3 of them. We're going to cover only 3 because I want to do these live, but I also don't want to do like last week where I went on a bender and I did 5. So I limited it to 3. Hey, a guy's got to get on with his day. Capturing cold leads, capturing warm prospects, capturing paying customers. Before we dive into that action, let's talk about the 3 things. Think of a decision tree of you meeting a complete stranger in your regular life, in your, civilian life. I happen to be of the age and position in life where I'm fortunate enough to be able to be dating with years and years of dating experience. And I find it's very interesting because it's very similar to marketing. If you know what you're doing in marketing or dating, they're very parallel. So capture cold leads means you have no previous relationship with somebody. You just found them or they found you under, I don't know, on the Bumble of life or in a WordPress forums or on a Facebook group, or they saw one of these live webinars or they heard something on TikTok or YouTube video. Because you don't know whether there's a fit between you, it's good for both of you to do a really simple, lightweight trade, but to only put them into your CRM. In our case, in the LaunchKit, it's Fluent CRM. Why only Fluent CRM versus making them a user who's registered and logged in? This is why. You may not go on a second date, right? In the real world, if let's say I'm out on a first date, I'll say, we'll go for coffee. We'll have a cocktail. Maybe it's very low commitment, because what if we meet each other? There's no chemistry, no compatibility. You don't want to have anything beyond that limited thing. So capturing cold leads is very, very fast and easy to do with a form, a Fluent form or a Kadence advanced form that adds a person to your CRM, along with, you guessed it, a tag of something about them or where you met them or what it is that you talked about, so that you can then test, if the relationship goes further, what things they might be interested to do on an automated basis. Okay. Second, capturing warm prospects. Well, what's the difference between a cold lead and a warm prospect? Well, let's use the same metaphor. Let's say you had that coffee or cocktail. Let's say the person did try your lead magnet or, came to your website and looked at your use cases and they said, oh, I love this. I'd like to do more. A warm prospect is somebody who's either ripe for a sample or what I call a tripwire product, something that is a low cost, $7, $14 thing that is a little taste, just a bit of a taste. And the reason is because what you're going to do is allow them to do a checkout, and you really want to acquire their credit card. The best case, although we can do it for free for certain situations, and I'll explain why, the best case is that you at least collect their credit card, even if it's only for future billing. Because once you've got their credit card and once you've got tags about who they are, guess what can happen? Automatic billing. Automatic renewal, one-click upsell. All of the neato things that we can do with the LaunchKit solution happen because we know who they are, they're registered and logged in, and we've got their credit card. And then the third type, which again, we're going to do all these live in a second, is capturing paying customers for more. Upsells, downsells, order bumps, limited time offers, access based upon things that you've put in the cart or things that you've previously got. All the magical things that can happen will allow you essentially to create different types of automations, but that requires that somebody has already essentially given you the money, and not just for for like the tripwire, but they've committed. Typically it's like they've committed to a subscription, or they've committed to something where they're actually there for more than, that moment. Because the idea is you want to give somebody almost like fishing, like you want to have the right lure, but you want to keep them constantly chasing the lure. Every time they get the thing you just said is the best, you shock them in a pleasant way by saying there's something even better. Russell Brunson calls it a value ladder, right? And it could be, in our case, go ahead, jump on.
So jump back to, so you've talked about all 3 of them, and you've given like the jumping point to the next. But what's the jumping point for number 1? So maybe share, like in your experience, that here's that cold lead. How do you know when they're ready to be moved into that warm prospect?
By offering them a tripwire. So, for example, let's
Yes.
say we have a shorthand trial or a sample product or a little taster or teaser. So, for example, typically $7 to $19 would qualify as a tripwire.
Right.
And the idea is, even if it was $1, although that's just impractical because the Stripe fees will take most of that. And it's really got to be in today's world at least $5 to be worth the Stripe, 2.9% and 30 cents. But even if it's as low as $5, the idea is they have demonstrated on a conscious and a subconscious level a commitment to giving you their credit card. So that's comparable to, we went from coffee to I sat down with you at dinner. And that's like number two is like you committed to dinner. That's like a big deal. And then number three would be like I'm introducing you to my friends or taking you to a family outing or something like that.
Right. So those are I just wanted to clarify. It's like those things that are in the middle, right? It's that offer that's in the middle that moves them into the next little category. So
Precisely.
perfect. Yep.
Okay. So let's discuss these in the real world context. So today I'm going to jump out of the way because, actually, I think if we do this, it's almost, let me just compare. Hold on. Oh, no, that's better. Do you think it's better? We'll do this full screen, right? All right.
Yes.
So let's switch over. I want to give everybody that's watching the understanding I am working live without a net. This is a freshly launched LaunchKit platform solution. So it's got all the tools underneath. When you get this, it has some products built into it so you can play right away. I don't believe I've set up previously, but I'm going to check. Number one, so like I might switch back to here, but just number one, capturing cold leads. We're going to use a form for that. So in order to do this, I want you to understand that you do not have to set up the checkout or the thank you or the credit cards or the email. It's all done. You could just literally, in as little time as it's going to take us, go to town on this. So in order to get somebody into our Fluent CRM, we've already got it set up. So there is a main list. And that's important because you don't even have to bother doing that. We're going to make it so that if somebody gives us their information in the form of an email or maybe email and first name, they will be added to, let's go over here to our list. We have a list called main list. It's ready to go. Okay. So simple to do. I'm doing this from scratch right now. Fluent Forms. We go to Forms. And we've got a bunch of things here, a coaching call, subscription, contact form. We could use one of these, by the way. Let's just take a look at what these look like. A contact form is ready to go that has just a few extra things. We could use this and duplicate it and just get rid of some stuff, or we could just do from scratch. It really makes no difference because it's that easy. Let's make a new one, and we're going to call this maybe lead magnet. What I like about Fluent is you can also use blanks, or you can create traditional templates, or you can use this conversational form. That's not really appropriate here, but let's say you wanted to ask a couple of questions. This would be nice because instead of just being like the form sticking out there with fields, it lets somebody be asked questions. They've also got this really neat thing, which I do love, and we're going to use this like an opt-in form because we can just save a lot of trouble by using something pre-existing. And you can browse around and look at the various things they've got. They're just sort of like head starts. There's nothing like particularly ridiculous about them, but they just give you a head start. So we can even just use this. Let's do it as subscribe for the latest. Okay. And in a normal situation, I recommend that you add first name and email. Why do you need first name and email? I think in general, it's good to ask for first name because then you can say, hey, Spence. And just to save time today, though, because we're doing this quickly, I'll use this form. But if you wanted to add the names, you just click on names, and then you could click here, and you can decide to just show first name, and you could arrange these in whatever order just by dragging up and down like that. Okay. But to make this fast, I'll just use only email and subscribe. Now, a lead magnet, let's talk about that very quickly. A lead magnet is something that gives a person the incentive, just like the fishbowl, to give you their email. I would say it should be like a video, a piece of information, a sample of a course. Whatever it is, it makes no difference. We'll set up just a landing page right now with an example of a video. It's something that you don't care that people discover on their own. Why? Because if they discover it, who cares? That's more people that learn about your product. So it's not like you have to worry about locking it up, even if it's a piece of your real content. Okay. So people get lost on that all the time. So what I like to do is change the wording to be specific. So let's actually say, get your sample video now. Make it demonstrative. And you can change, I'm not doing any styling. You can just change the background color of the buttons. All that is super easy with Fluent. The email address has validation built in, so it knows that it's an email. So it's not going to test it against like an email list, but it knows that it has to be at least the proper format. There are some things that you can set up. So let's go over those. And before we do that, let's give this a name. We'll call this lead magnet form. Cold lead, right? So we know what it is later. Be demonstrative in your labeling, right? Be clear so that later on you know what it's for, right? Settings and integration. I keep forgetting the most important part. Let's click save before we go to the next step. Settings and integrations. Now what we're going to do, this is the fun thing. There's so many things that we can do here with after somebody submits. One of them I'm going to just discuss, but I'm not going to bother with. If you are putting this out into the universe and there's a bunch of people who are going to just throw garbage at you, you can use the double opt-in confirmation. And what that means is that you can say, here's the email field. I need somebody to go into their email box with that email and click a button that says essentially they are who they say they are. And the reason for that is you want them to actually prove that they can access the email. Just know you can do it, but I'm going to tell you the other part. It's equally easy to just filter the names and emails based upon people not doing something afterwards. So in my historical past, I have not bothered with double opt-in too often, but it is useful at some point to do what we call cleaning your list, because otherwise you're going to have a bunch of xxx@.com. Okay. For today, the more important thing is let's just talk about what we can do to actually show this. One of the things that's super neat is that when somebody submits this, I can either give them a message, I can redirect them to a page on the site, or I can send them to a specific URL. And I've shown this in past videos because one of the things I could do is send them, for example, to my Calendly calendar, or I could send them to another website. And I can even pass along information like what their email address is, so it pre-fills it. But today what we're going to do is we're going to make a landing page for the lead magnet. So I'm going to leave this here. And all I'm going to do is make a new page. And it's so simple with Kadence. Add new. And we're just going to call this lead magnet delivery, right? Now, you don't actually have to show the title and stuff. I'm just using that so we know where we're at. Now, I can put anything I want in this page. But what I'm going to do is just do my standard. I'm going to put a row in. And then I'm going to put a video in. And I'll do YouTube video. And let's do even today's video. So we'll just paste the URL in, which I love. It's so simple. You don't need any special video delivery tools. This is today's video. Now, what I can do with Kadence, which I love, is I can choose the layout of the page. I'm kind of a fan of the boxed layout and arrow because it kind of keeps things real in the middle of the page. And, you can do whatever you want with the styling. As far as testing it or doing whatever, you could put additional words, you could do whatever. It doesn't matter. The important thing is all we're doing is giving them to this page when they've put in their email. Now, one thing we do include, which makes, again, the LaunchKit platform much easier, is built in, we've already got under the page, the ability for you to hide these pages from search engines and from WordPress. Now, why is that important? It's not that you care that people could find the link and share it with their friends. It's just that you don't want to index a bunch of pages that are designed as either sales pages or lead magnet delivery, because they're of no SEO value and they're just going to muck up your index or your robots text file. So just use those two checkboxes and you're done. Okay, why are we doing this? We're going to go ahead and now take that page and we're going to use that. Let's go back over to our form. I'm going to temporarily save this because when I refresh the page, I'll be able to choose that. It's not going to show up until I refresh the page because I added it after, but I'm going to choose that page as the destination to take somebody to. So lead magnet, and I'm good to go. Save. That's all I got to do. So right there, what I have done is I've set up something that takes in the data, sends a person to the proper place, and creates an entry. But really, to make this powerful, we have to add them to the CRM, don't we? So we want to set up an integration, and we go over here to configure integrations, and we just add a new one. And in this case, we could use WP Fusion, but since it's Fluent and Fluent CRM, it's just as easy to use that one. And we'll call this add code lead to Fluent CRM. Which list? That main list. Don't even have to start anything up. Email is the main field. Now here's the fun part. We can do lots of other things on this, but also doing double opt-in before they're added to the CRM. We don't need to double opt-in twice, but you can do it here instead of on the form. But what we really want to do is maybe add a contact tag, because we want to say, like, what's going on here, right? Like, we just added you. So in order to make that happen, let's do what we just did with the page. I'm going to temporarily save this. Let's go to Fluent CRM and let's add a tag so we'll know that somebody came from this particular, lead magnet form. And we'll just say lead magnet form. And you could say cold lead if you want. I don't like to use more than 2 words, but I'm just saying today, demonstrably, you could do it like this, actually. You could say lead magnet form, cold lead. And the idea is that way we'll know when you want to segment people, that tag is for people that they're cold, baby. Like, we need to build a relationship. We're only at the coffee date stage. So I go back here, refresh the page. And we're going to go ahead and just tweak that integration one more step. And we're going to use the tag that I just added. And it goes not on remove, it goes here, contact tag. So lead magnet form. And now we're done, but I want to show you one other super, super cool trick. And let me go full screen here. One of the things that's really, I've used this myself, I use this at 1WD, is there is an option inside of here called landing page. So if you wanted to, you wouldn't necessarily even have to embed this particular form on its own page for people to see it. You can just use the built-in landing page capability. And what's really neat about that is that you just have a URL that you can use on a button. Let me show you what I mean. If I was to, let's say I save this here. If I was to copy this link and put it on a button, this is what pops up. So I've got the ability to style a page. I would put more text above it, but essentially you could have a button on your homepage that says, get the lead magnet, right? And now you've got this really awesome modal window. In fact, let me just show you how that might work. See how this is the landing page URL here? Let's go back and let's go to our home page, because I give you the blank home page, because that way you don't have to presume anything of what the business is about. Let's just add a button as an example. You know how much I love Kadence, so I'm just going to put row layout. I'm going to give me the ability to style it. Then I'm going to do advanced buttons. I love those advanced buttons. I'm going to say, get your free video now. And what I do is just put the URL of that lead magnet pop-up form, click update. And again, you can style the page any way you want. Let's take a look at what that is. And now we're ready, by the way, to test it. Okay. When I click this, it opens the modal window, styled with whatever other stuff I want. And let's give, bob@smith.com. When Bob submits this, he should be given a direction to go right to the sample video page. I think we put that in properly. Let's test it. And now he's got it. And I would also put something in here that you could use with either merge tags, or you could use with something. Hey, Bob, thanks for coming to the video page. But the notion is that he doesn't have to work hard. He's been basically taken directly to the satisfaction. Let's go look on the back end and see what it is that the person got, right? So we're going to go back into our Fluent CRM, contacts. And we see Bob Smith is in here. And so Bob Smith has been added in. Notice he's a lead. He's subscribed to the main list. He's gotten the tag lead magnet form. He's ready to rock and roll. And even better, we now have the history of what Bob submitted. We can see he submitted the lead magnet cold lead form. And we can even view what it was that he used in case, we're curious about it, right? If we've forgotten about it. Here's his entry when he submitted it, his user IP. Now, here's where the automation part comes in. What do I want to do now? Well, he's a cold lead. He's seen the video. You want to make a follow-up. So let's just really quickly add a follow-up automation. And I'm going to close a bunch of windows here. And I'm going to go back over to Fluent CRM. And I'm going to go automations. And we need a trigger. In this case, the trigger could be either submitted the form or it could be gotten lead magnet tag. Let's do it with, I'll show you both. So follow up. So if I use the CRM method, it could be that the tag was applied here. If I use the other method, I could use new form submission. Either one of these is actually pretty good. Let's try the new form submission because I haven't used that in a while. So I click on this, I click continue, and now I've got an automation set up where I'm not going to write the email, but essentially I choose which form they submitted. I can map the email if I want because I might want to use that as a merge tag. And now I can just say, cool, run this whenever they want or run once. Here's where I would do maybe send an email. And that's the automation. So, follow up from lead magnet. And let's review, because I am going through this pretty briskly, what we've done here. We've, number one, we've created a form. The form is connecting a cold lead to the entry of the Fluent forms, but also is adding them into the CRM. Number two, we've given them a video as the lead magnet deliverable. That's where they're directed after the form is submitted. Number three, because they've submitted a form, we have an automation which immediately will trigger something to happen in due course. In this case, maybe I'd wait a day or so, but I could send a custom email because what I'm trying to do is take the person from the cold lead situation to being in a warm prospect situation. Hey, Spence. Hey, Bob. Now that you've seen the video, would you like more? I'll give you a $7 trial. And that's what we're going to do now. Any questions? Am I going too fast on that? Because I'm trying to get some momentum on this one.
No, you're going at a pretty good speed. And I think you're really explaining, like what the steps are. And then, maybe talk about the branching off in that next step. Because that's what I think is tricky for people is the tagging branch off.
Okay. So let's say, for example, we're in the custom email. In the email, I might give them an offer to go somewhere. And I'll just do this very briefly here by saying something like, and I'm not going to try to make this too detailed because, this is a lunchtime thing. Hi. And then I use this here, this merge field, and I can use full name or name. I don't have that name. Remember I said a moment ago how awesome it would have been if I had had the first name, then I could have done hi first name, and then you click paste. And if it has it, it will put it in. If not, it can use a fallback or it'll just say nothing. Hi, I hope you loved the free video. Would you like to try a sample of my courses or, of my course for just $7? Click here to get it. Cheers. Now, before we close this off, what are we going to need? Let's first of all just save this for a second. We're going to need a product. Remember we talked at the beginning about how when we switch from doing a cold lead where we're using a form to capturing a warm prospect, we really want to sell them something. Well, fortunately, I've already given you a bunch of products. So let's share the screen again. Let's go ahead and show you how you would set this up. Let's take one of the pre-made products and we'll just turn this into the thing that's the $7 tripwire. This is an example of how fast and easy it can be with the LaunchKit platform to do this. All you got to do is change the title, change the price, and add your own picture, right? So let's call this warm prospect tripwire. Let's make it $7. And you can just say, it's just $7. And then we can make sure it's going to the checkout and the thank you, and we can give it a special tag. So here's again where we can now dynamically add a tag that says purchased tripwire product. And let's add from pixels, we'll call in a new image just to be cool, like sample product. Let's see what shows up. Those are some very odd looking things. Let's use this. This looks like it might be a product. So I'm just for right now going to copy the image URL. You would want to get your own images, of course, but what we can do is now put those in on the product. So if we go up here to product, close the categories, we can type it in here, featured image by URL, preview. And if you want, we can also change this here. Just all you need to do is remove the old link and then click update. And now what we've got is a product that can have its own page, but even better, because it is the LaunchKit platform, we've got launch flows built in. I'm going to use the direct to checkout link so that it doesn't even mess around. It just sends the product right into the cart. It's not going to even take them to the description page. Now, understand that if you wanted to take them to the description page, because maybe you wanted to talk more about it, you could still have this as the URL to talk about it. But I'm going to use just the right to the checkout page. And so when I go back over here to my custom email, that click to get it here, all I need to do is paste that link that I just copied from the product. Make sure you click on it. I like to bold mine, it gets a little more attention. Highlight it very cautiously, bold, and now save. All right. So what that would do would send an email to somebody who signed up on your lead magnet form. I might actually click to wait a day. So you can put that wait in the middle. So it's a day since they signed up and saw your video. Then they get an email that says, hey, hope you enjoyed the video, because you don't want to send it right away. And then it gives them a link. Let's talk about how they get in if they bought that. Now, first thing we have to understand is up until now, the person has not been in as a user. They've only been in your CRM. But now we want to register them, log them in, and we want them to actually do a checkout. Now, the product is already set out for you. So all they need is the link, and everything else will happen. And this is also another opportunity where if they shared it with somebody, the other person at this point can still buy the product. So you're not limiting who can buy the second product. You want people to share it with their friends. So I'm going to show you a couple different things that could happen. First of all, when you're doing this, we can send this as a test email. So let's do that internally. And you'll notice I could send it externally, but we've got built into the LaunchKit platform what we'll call a mail trap. We've set it so you can send the emails, but they don't have to leave the system until you're ready to use them. So we're going to send it and then look at it ourselves. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to send it. It tells me it's sent. Let's go look in our mail trap and see what that is. Click on the email disabled. It'll take you to where we can see our email log. And here is the actual email. And we can view the email, including the link. And let's open this up in a new tab. And we can see here that the product is in there ready to buy. If the person buys it under this email or whatever, that's who will be registered. But let's just do this as a different person. So I'm going to log out. Let's do this. Well, let's do it as me and see what happens. We'll just change the email. So we'll change me to Susie@buyer.com, Susie Buyer. And we'll use a new payment method. This is showing up with the existing charges because that was me still logged in. Place the order. And in this case, it's because it's me, so it's failing. So I'll have to do it as a logged in user, which I am now. Pretend it's Susie Buyer. Place the order, and let's do it. One more thing. Hold on. Let's do one more thing. Let's open this in a new tab. Now that I'm logged out, let's just do it from scratch. Okay. So Susie@buyer.com. The problem when I do these demos is if you're already logged in as the admin, it knows you're logged in and it gets confused because it knows enough to say, wait a second, Spence, isn't that you who's buying? So this is now logged out and it works as it should, where it's going to take me to the thank you page, log me in, and then what we'll do is log back in as me, the admin, to see the backside. So here's the order. I've got the tripwire. I can go to my account and my dashboard. Everything is great for me as the end user because I've gotten what I want. I can see my actual order. In this case, the credit card used and so on and so forth. Let's log out of Susie and log back in as Spence, okay? So let's log out. I do want to log out. And let's log back in as Spence. And let's see in the Fluent CRM, Susie is going to be here now, along with her buying information. And here's Susie. And so now, kind of like to explain like where I'm at in this process, let me go back over to here. So now what we've achieved is we've added Susie as a warm prospect. She spent $7. She's now a customer. Notice up here, she's not a lead. She's a customer now. She's subscribed to the list. She's on our main list. She's got the tag of purchase tripwire. And we also can see that her purchase history includes an order for the prospect tripwire, as well as we have the tag. Really, really, really powerful because like this allows us to know, well, now let's send her an automation. And again, the automation for her is going to be, well, maybe I want to offer her the next thing in my value ladder. And what's that going to be? That is going to be a full paid product or a full paid subscription. So in this case, very similar to before, but this time I use purchase to product as a trigger. Warm prospect to, paying customer. And I would use maybe WooCommerce, order completed. And for the order, I'm going to select the product that she just bought. And you can do it based on category or anything else. Let's just choose this one. She took she took this one, warm prospect tripwire. And I can say whether this is on any purchase, only the first one, from the second one on, restart it. Let's just say it's the first time. And very similar to before, I would probably wait maybe a day. And then I would probably offer her similar, an email with a discount or a coupon. Hey, get the full course, Susie, for 50% off. And you can achieve that in the LaunchKit platform just by going, because it's already set up, just by going to the marketing tab and creating a new coupon for a particular product, right? So again, this is standard WooCommerce stuff. It's very easy, but you might make a coupon that applies, let's say, to your subscription product, right? 50% off subscription product. Notice how fast I'm able to do this stuff because I'm not spending any time at all. Let's give them a sign-up fee discount, percentage-wise. I'm spending no time at all configuring any of the components, and I'll give 50% off. I'm just using this stuff, and it's standardized. So if there's any problems or questions, I can help you out. That's what we help you out. You can put in restrictions on all this stuff about like how many limits and who it applies for. In this case, I would say the usage restriction should be on the product, right? So it should only apply to the subscription one, publish. And then what we would do is we would take that coupon code. We could do it like this. I should have put the description below. And then we can add that in to either a link or whatever in the email. Okay. Third is, and by the way, Beth had to go take care of one of her dogs. She's got 2 dogs and one of them was having an emergency. Capture paying customers for the upsell downsell. Now, what we want to do on that is this is less about a form and this is more about using a pure automation. So value ladder, very similar to what we just did, is to say, look, if you've already got people in there, we can segment them using the CRM based upon the things that they've already done. And let's just give you an example of that. If I go to Fluent CRM and I go to contacts, I can see a pattern of behavior of people and what they've done in the past. So let's go full screen. So I can filter either based upon tags that people have for purchased products, or I can do it based upon their statuses, but I can also do things based upon an advanced filter, like matching multiple situations. For example, WooCommerce, how much have they paid or which products have they bought? So maybe I can do a segment that says, if somebody's already bought the Tripwire product, then I want to do a campaign of a series of emails to nurture them, educate them, teach them about why they need to buy the full subscription product. So let's do that. So includes the product of warm prospect Tripwire. And in this case, we know there's only one person, but maybe your list has already had 100 people now who've gone through this. Now that I've got that filter, I've got that segment of people, I can go ahead and do a couple things with this. I can create from this a campaign, or I can save these people as a segment, right? If I click on the 3 dots, I could say warm prospects to be converted to subscribers. Whatever makes sense to you, save it, because that dynamic segment can now be used as the people for whom you send some other kind of a campaign. And again, I won't do that totally here, but let me just explain the basics of that. Inside of Fluent CRM, I can create either a single email or a campaign. And with a campaign, that's usually a series of more than one emails that are sent to a certain group of people, and it continues to be sent to them until they do something you want them to do, like in this case, buy the second product. So in this case, I'd make a campaign. I'd call it Nurture Tripwire Prospects into Buying Subscription. Whatever makes sense for you so that you know later. And then from here, you basically can start writing your emails and so on and so forth. But it's usually not just one email. Usually it's a series of emails. And you start with like, hey, Spence, I hope you're enjoying that sample Tripwire and blah, 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 blah. When you end up saving this and going on to the next thing, you can decide who you send it to. And that's where the segmenting comes in, because when you get to the who does this go to part, let's give it a subject. Hi, Spence. This is where these little dots come in handy. Hi, Spence. Again, another great reason why you should probably add that first name in. You say, who does this go to, right? And this is where you can either send it to your whole main list, or you could choose to send it just to somebody who has, for example, any of these tags. Or you could do something like with a dynamic segment, which is really a cool way to do it. So here, warm prospects, there's only one person. You continue to the next step and it lets you test it out. You can see it. And again, I didn't do anything in the email. You can send a test email now and, make sure it looks good and you're good to go. Okay, so let's review. I'm going to do this solo. I did 3 types of membership automations using Kadence and the LaunchKit solution. We did the whole thing, including blabbing on about the philosophy, in 40 something minutes. What are we at? We're 53 minutes. So about 45 minutes, start to finish, 3 funnels. If you just went to town on this, you could launch your own LaunchKit solution today, $97 money back guarantee. You could be up and running with 3 sales funnels for your subscription product, for your business. Start growing a list of people who are interested in the pain points that you solve for them. That's the point. Any of the questions that you need answered, we answer. All of the software is included. Everything is here ready to go, built on the best of WordPress, but with no setup at all. The most important thing is that because you can do it so immediately, you grow the list, take the list with you, do whatever you want, but I bet you'll never leave, because whether it's for yourself or your client, you'll see this is the only real way to do WordPress in a place where there's 70,000 choices. Okay. So in just a couple minutes, you can be doing exactly what I've shown you here, because you'll have the exact same stack of stuff. Let's round out the rest of the slides, because I want to just give you the whole point of this. You can start with a free call. Remember I said in all these years, I continue to do free calls because you call me up and tell me what's your particular pain. I'll launch this with you. We'll spend 15 minutes, get you going. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's free to talk to me. You go to wplaunchify.com/call or press the big button at the top that says book, and you're in. And then everything from there is going to be based upon just doing exactly what we're showing here. Now, I wanted to say LaunchKit as a platform is available at wplaunchkit.com. You can get it. Again, no questions asked, refund policy, $97. Never buy your software. As long as you stay with us, you have everything you need. If you ever want to leave, you then go get your own licenses, get your support from the other authors who are all colleagues and professionals who are friends of mine. We've been doing this together. We all understand and agree that WordPress as a service is the wave of the future. There's no point in trying to build a platform and curate this stuff on your own. I want to say thank you for everybody who comes on Fridays. Today, I feel very happy because I managed to finish in 56 minutes. This is like the old days. I want to say thanks to Beth. She had to run to take care of her dogs. The video will be at wplaunchkit.com for the rest of the week. It will then be at spencerforeman.com in my latest content and my Launchify, WP Launchify channel, WP Launchify on YouTube. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at help@wplaunchify.com. I'd love your feedback. I'd love your kind words. Criticisms welcome, as long as they're constructive. Thank you to Dr. Carrie Krieger. I always butcher your last name. I don't know why. I've known you so long. Dr. Carrie Krieger, and everybody else who attended today. And those of you who I know will watch this in the replay, because let's be honest, it's Friday at lunchtime when I'm doing this. I'll see you guys on the next video.